Hey everyone, welcome back to What's Your Favorite Scary Story? We're up to episode 15 and we've got a lot of guests this episode, so as they appear, I will let you know. But let's go into the first story, which is Love and Gasoline.
Love and Gasoline. I loved her from the moment I first saw her, sitting with her friends under the tree. She shone, brighter than any of them. Her laughter carried across the garden like the sound of breaking glass, high and clear with sharp edge to it. It was as though the exuberance of her soul could not be contained inside her small frame. I was a lumpy thing next to her, a great awkward creature, heavy and slow. She ran rings around me with her mind. Though she said she loved me, I always had the feeling that she was laughing at me behind her hand. When we made love, it was sweet, intense, and tight. She was not shy. She cast aside her clothes like petals. Her body was pale and narrow, unblemished. She would twitch and shiver next to me, and she hovered like a hummingbird. I knew it couldn't last. She was not for the likes of me. Someone so vivid could not be shackled to someone so pale. She was meant to fly with the eagles, and I was destined to crawl with the other common beasts, heavy and slow, lumping along from failure to failure, while she disappeared, magnificent, into the flaming sunset. She married shortly after, hitched to a man who was not worthy of her. The bright ones always attract the darkness. A string of unlovely children were produced. He refused to work, and she lived in a small, terrible trailer park. Naked kids waddling around in dirty nappies, broken vehicles choked up on cinder blocks. You were a bright spark, and now you are a guttering ember, growing fat and slow. Corn syrup and chicken buckets, but underneath, the old fire still smolders. I catch glimpses of it sometimes, when you are high, strung out on whiskey or poppers, the old spark that no amount of poverty can ever completely grind away. Sometimes you dance on the roof of your trailer, sashaying from side to side, soft hands working the air, our old songs sibilant on your sensuous mouth. And I know what has to be done. I pull up in the truck and smile at you. You smile back. You're missing a few teeth, but still you're beautiful. You know I am here. You hop in beside me. The back seats are full of gasoline canisters. You tap one with your fingernail, and it makes that vibrating ding that only full gasoline canisters can make. A sweet sound. The ding of salvation. Your dirty kids watch us from the trailer window. There are some mistakes that no amount of time or love can ever rectify. I toss my phone out the window and you do the same. There's no one I want to speak to now apart from you. You take my hand, and I floor the accelerator. The truck shimmies away, kicking up gravel. One last blaze of glory. Tonight, we will both burn brightly. One more time.
So this story really had some Rob Zombie kind of vibes. I mean, if you don't know who he is, he's done movies like House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, the 2007 Halloween remake. It's just super like trailer punk, like trailer trash, like stuff like that. And you really get a sense of that in this story. And it automatically reminded me of a Rob Zombie movie. So that's why I decided to include it. But let's move on to our next story, who has special guest appearances from Tina and Julia.
Floorboard Nails. It was our first night in our new home. The hot summer air caked on added layers of sweat as I walked around the house barefoot, unpacking boxes. The house was old, but had a cozy feel to it. I was loading clothes into our dresser when I noticed a few nails sticking out of the floorboards. I grabbed a hammer from downstairs and brought it back up to the bedroom to put the nails back in. Easy enough, problem solved. The next morning when I climbed out of bed, I noticed a few nails sticking out from the floorboards near the bed. I was a little annoyed, but it was an old house after all. This is something I knew I would have to get used to. I secured the nails back down into the boards. Later that morning, I went to grab some clothes from my closet when I felt a sharp pain coming from my right foot. I fell to the ground and looked at my foot. There was a nail lodged in it. While my foot was resting on the ground, a few drops of blood seeped into the cracks between two boards. I heard a slurping noise. I jumped and stepped back. A black tongue slithered out of the crack and flapped back and forth, reaching for droplets of my blood on the boards. I ran downstairs and grabbed my wife, Lily. I brought her back to the room. The thing was gone.
Gavin, you startled me. I pricked myself doing my cross-stitch. I don't see anything.
Lily looked at the boards and then back at me like I was crazy. Lily looked at her finger for a second. A drop of blood fell to the floor. "Lily, be careful!" I yelled. It was too late. The tongue extended out even further this time, wrapping around Lily's legs. A few floorboards snapped, creating a hole. The tongue pulled Lily into the darkness below. I heard some rumbling and crunches of bones. I covered my ears. Tears flowed down my face. I leaned in closer to the hole. There was nothing there. In a daze, I just stood there in shock for a few seconds. A few of the other boards started to rise. The thing was moving under them and headed towards the door. I traced its path and followed it downstairs and outside to my front porch. I watched the thing dart underground across the street to my neighbor's house. My phone rang.
Hi, Gavin, it's Sadie. Sorry to bother you, but Russell's out, and I was hoping I could borrow a hammer if you have one. These darn nails in our floors never want to stay put.
I looked at the house across from ours. I could see Sadie standing in the living room. And then, she was gone.
This one was just kind of a fun alien kind of thing. I mean, that's what I imagined was under the floorboards, but you could have imagined something completely different. But let's move into the last story with guest voices from Skippy Midnight, which his channel will be in the description, and my good friend Liz.
Florida woman's skin found in mother's home. Authorities have located missing Florida woman Amber Harrison's skin in the home of her own mother, Dee Dee Harrison. Police were alerted to the home last evening when, days after reporting her daughter missing, she discovered the discarded flesh in her basement. Despite recovering her skin, officials report that Amber Harrison is still classified as a missing person.
Yeah, it's a strange find to be sure. Hard to believe she might still be alive, but with no body, well, stranger things have happened.
Authorities positively identified the skin as belonging to Amber after comparing several tattoos present on the flesh with photographs supplied by Dee Dee.
I can say without a doubt that these tattoos match Miss Harrison's. One of her more unique tattoos consists of several Chinese symbols, which Amber believed to have meant live, love, laugh. When we consulted with a translator, he identified the phrase instead as sesame chicken. That's when we knew for certain that the flesh indeed belonged to Amber.
While police struggle to find a solid lead in the case, Amber's mother has been particularly vocal about her own theory of what happened to her daughter.
Amber was acting real strange for a while before she vanished. Amber's always had a nasty habit of picking at her skin. It's something the doctors call dermatillomania. But it got worse about a month ago, and her skin started getting real dry.
Dee Dee furthers this claim by alleging her daughter usually stopped picking when she drew blood, but recently began picking relentlessly. Amber started covering herself in bandages and refused any help from her mother.
I caught her changing her bandages a couple days before she went missing, and I did not like what I saw.
She claims to have seen a gaping wound across Amber's forearm.
But that's not what disturbed me the most. The wound didn't look normal. It was the color of an oil slick. Black and shining with tones of dark green.
Officials have not been able to verify this claim, but are investigating Dee Dee's comments further.
There's one more thing. Amber's father up and left when he found out I was pregnant with her, and she's always kind of hated him for that.
It seems that Amber's attitude toward her father may have changed in recent weeks, as Dee Dee alleges her daughter made several attempts to contact him. Authorities have withheld comments on Amber's phone records and movements preceding her disappearance, but Dee Dee believes that Amber established contact with her father, whose identity is currently unknown.
He called me last night. He told me that Amber is free now. He told me that she had molted.
If you have any information on Amber Harrison's whereabouts, please contact local law enforcement.
This story was so different from any story I've ever done, and it kind of read like an actual news report. So that's why I decided to include it, and I think this might be one of my favorite stories I've ever had to do. So, in terms of ranking these, I'm going to go Florida Woman's Skin, Love and Gasoline, and Floorboard Nails. So thank you everyone for watching. Leave a comment down below of any other scary stories you want me to do. And also, make sure to thank the other guest voices that appeared. Julia, Tina, Liz, and Skippy Midnight. Thank you guys so much. You made this episode great. But let's flash forward to the next reveal.